And we're so talented that we fit and we can do just about anything.
Black history brought to life.
This is the first Black History Museum in St. Louis, basically, and we're probably the second one that uses wax figures, life-size figures, to tell our story. In this room, there's Clara Brown, Reverend Nance Sr. Harriet Scott was, in fact, very instrumental in making sure that that suit progressed.
The wax figures in St. Louis's Griot Museum are a labor of love for Lois Conley. Literally, she hand-sculpted many of the figures on display.
You've got to do all the research because in some cases there are no photographs. You only have maybe some vague description to the person, and so I'm also trying to find out the height and the width, and the weight, the skin tone.
With each step through the halls, you learn new ways Black people of the past have shaped our present and future.
But we know that you can't begin any historical stories about African Americans in this country unless you start with Africa.
Depictions of village life and artifacts from West African communities line the walls before moving on to the Middle Passage.
It gives you an example of what it would have been like to be in the hold of a ship and transported across the waters for any indefinite period, probably at least 3 months.
Centuries later, slavery still casts dark shadows over St. Louis and far beyond.
Enslaved people were sold, some on the courthouse and some in other places in St. Louis. As you can see from the map there, those red pins pinpoint areas where some form of slave trading or slave industry was happening. This is a slave cabin that we actually went down and dismantled in Warren County, Missouri.
The wax figures portray Black people who shaped not just Missouri history, but American history, overcoming unimaginable odds. Like York, an enslaved man who became the first African American to cross the continent, traveling alongside Lewis and Clark.
York was supposed to get his freedom when they came back to St. Louis, but he didn't, unfortunately, and we don't know much about what happened to him after that. Elizabeth Keckley is a lady who was here enslaved in St. Louis. She eventually, though, makes her way to Washington, D.C. and becomes the actual seamstress for Mary Todd Lincoln.
Each figure carries a deeper meaning, just like the museum's name, Griot, a West African term.
The importance of preserving history and culture and then passing that on to other generations.
To keep passing it along, Griot is growing.
It's part of the Counterpublic 2023 art exhibit, which is an art exhibit that will stretch 6 miles across Jefferson. This is a museum that tells a story that connects all of our stories. And so we want everybody to be supportive and also everybody to feel like it's their museum.